The Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba, also known as the Great Mosque of Cordoba, is a historical and architectural marvel located in the city of Cordoba, Spain. It is renowned for its unique blend of Islamic and Christian architecture, representing the complex history of the region. The structure has a fascinating history that reflects the religious and cultural shifts in the Iberian Peninsula. Originally, a Visigothic Christian church occupied the site. After the Islamic Moors conquered Cordoba in 711, the church was divided and shared by both Muslims and Christians for a few centuries. In 784, Emir Abd al-Rahman I ordered the construction of the Great Mosque on the same site. Over several centuries, different rulers expanded and embellished the mosque, making it a masterpiece of Islamic architecture. The mosque featured a vast prayer hall with rows of horseshoe arches, intricate geometric patterns, and a stunning mihrab, prayer niche. However, in the 13th century, after the Christian Reconquista of Cordoba, the mosque was converted into a cathedral. This transformation involved the construction of a Gothic cathedral nave within the existing structure. The result is a unique hybrid structure that combines elements of both Islamic and Christian architecture. The blend of styles, known as Mozarabic or Mudéjar, makes the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba an exceptional and UNESCO-listed World Heritage Site. Visitors to the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba can witness the coexistence of Islamic and Christian elements within the same space, creating a visually stunning and historically rich environment. The structure stands as a symbol of the cultural and religious interchange that occurred in the Iberian Peninsula over the centuries. The Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba, Spanish, Mezquita Catedral de Córdoba, officially known by its ecclesiastical name of Cathedral of Our Lady of the Assumption, Spanish, Catedral de Nuestra Señora de la Asunción, is the cathedral of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Córdoba dedicated to the Assumption of Mary and located in the Spanish region of Andalusia. Due to its status as a former mosque, it is also known as the Mezquita, pronounced Mezquita, mosque in Spanish, and as the Great Mosque of Córdoba. According to traditional accounts of Visigothic Church, the Catholic Christian Basilica of Vincent of Saragossa originally stood on the site of the current Mosque Cathedral, although this has been a matter of scholarly debate. The Great Mosque was constructed in 785 on the orders of Abd al-Rahman I, founder of the Islamic Emirate and later Caliphate of Cordoba. It was expanded multiple times afterwards under Abd al-Rahman's successors up to the late 10th century. Among the most notable additions, Abd al-Rahman III added a minaret, finished in 958, and his son al-Hakam II added a richly decorated new mihrab and makshura section, finished in 971. The mosque was converted to a cathedral in 1236 when Cordoba was captured by the Christian forces of Castile during the Reconquista. The structure itself underwent only minor modifications until a major building project in the 16th century inserted a new Renaissance cathedral nave and transept into the center of the building. The former minaret, which had been converted to a bell tower, was also significantly remodeled around this time. Starting in the 19th century, modern restorations have in turn led to the recovery and study of some of the building's Islamic-era elements. Today, the building continues to serve as the city's cathedral and Mass is celebrated there daily. The mosque structure is an important monument in the history of Islamic architecture and was highly influential on the subsequent Moorish architecture of the Western Mediterranean regions of the Muslim world. It is also one of Spain's major historic monuments and tourist attractions, as well as a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1984. According to traditional accounts, the present-day site of the Cathedral Mosque of Cordoba was originally a Visigothic Christian church dedicated to Saint Vincent of Saragossa, which was divided and shared by Christians and Muslims after the Umayyad conquest of Hispania. As the Muslim community grew and this existing space became too small for prayer, the basilica was expanded little by little through piecemeal additions to the building. This sharing arrangement of the site lasted until 785, when the Christian half was purchased by Abd al-Rahman I, who then proceeded to demolish the church structure and build the Grand Mosque of Cordoba on its site. In return, Abd al-Rahman also allowed the Christians to rebuild other ruined churches, including churches dedicated to the Christian martyrs Saints Faustus, Januarius, and Marcellus, whom they deeply revered as agreed upon in the sale terms. The historicity of this narrative has been challenged as archaeological evidence is scant and the narrative is not corroborated by contemporary accounts of the events following Abd al-Rahman I's initial arrival in Al-Andalus. The narrative of the church being transformed into a mosque, which goes back to the 10th century historian al-Razi, echoed similar narratives of the Islamic conquest of Syria, in particular the story of building the Umayyad Mosque in Damascus. For medieval Muslim historians, these parallels serve to highlight a dynastic Umayyad conquest of Spain and appropriation of Visigothic Cordoba. Another 10th century source mentions a church that stood at the site of the mosque without giving further details. An archaeological exhibit in the Mosque Cathedral of Cordoba today displays fragments of a late Roman or Visigothic building, emphasizing an originally Christian nature of the complex. The stratigraphy of the site is complicated and made more so by its impact on contemporary political debates about cultural identity in Spain. Regardless of what structures may have existed on the site, however, it is almost certain that the building which housed the city's first mosque was destroyed to build Abd ar-Rahman I's Great Mosque and that it had little relation to the latter's form. The Great Mosque was built in the context of the new Umayyad Emirate in Al-Andalus, which Abd ar-Rahman I founded in 756. Abd ar-Rahman was a fugitive and one of the last remaining members of the Umayyad royal family, which had previously ruled the first hereditary caliphate based in Damascus, Syria. This Umayyad caliphate was overthrown during the Abbasid Revolution in 750 and the ruling family were nearly all killed or executed in the process. Abd ar-Rahman survived by fleeing to North Africa and, after securing political and military support, took control of the Muslim administration in the Iberian Peninsula from its governor, Yusuf ibn Abd al-Rahman al-Fihri. Cordoba was already the capital of the Muslim province and Abd ar-Rahman continued to use it as the capital of his independent emirate. Construction of the mosque began in 785 to 786, 169 AH, and finished a year later in 786 to 787. This relatively short period of construction was aided by the reuse of existing Roman and Visigothic materials in the area, especially columns and capitals. Syrian, Umayyad, Visigothic, and Roman influences have been noted in the building's design, but the architect is not known. The craftsmen working on the project probably included local Iberians as well as people of Syrian origin. According to tradition and historical written sources, Abd ar-Rahman involved himself personally and heavily in the project, but the extent of his personal influence in the mosque's design is debated. The original mosque had a roughly square floor plan measuring 74 or 79 square meters per side, equally divided between a hypostyle prayer hall to the south and an open courtyard, San, to the north. As the mosque was built on a sloping site, a large amount of fill would have been necessary to create a level ground on which to build. The outer walls were reinforced with large buttresses, which are still visible on the exterior today. The original mosque's most famous architectural innovation, which was preserved and repeated in all subsequent Muslim-era expansions, was its rows of two-tiered arches in the hypostyle hall. The mosque's original mihrab, niche in the far wall symbolizing the direction of prayer, no longer exists today, but its probable remains were found during archaeological excavations between 1932 and 1936. The remains showed that the mihrab's upper part was covered with a shell-shaped hood similar to the later mihrab. The mosque originally had 4 entrances. One was in the center of the north wall of the courtyard, aligned with the mihrab to the south, 2 more were in the west and east walls of the courtyard, and a 4th one was in the middle of the west wall of the prayer hall. The latter was known as Bab al-Wuzara, the Vizier's Gate, today known as Puerta de San Esteban, and was most likely the entrance used by the emir and state officials who worked in the palace directly across the street from here. Mosques were normally aligned with the Qibla, the direction of prayer, which is theoretically the direction of Mecca. From Cordoba, Mecca is to the east-southeast, but the Great Mosque of Cordoba is instead oriented more towards the south. This orientation, which doesn't match that of modern mosques, reflects the pre-existing street alignment of Roman Cordoba. This practice may also have sought to emulate the orientation of the walls of the rectangular Kaaba building inside the Great Mosque of Mecca, based on another tradition which considered the different sides of the Kaaba as being associated with different parts of the Muslim world. In this tradition, the northwest face of the Kaaba was associated with Al-Andalus and, accordingly, the Great Mosque of Cordoba was oriented towards the southeast as if facing the Kaaba's northwestern facade, with its main axis parallel to the main axis of the Kaaba structure, which was oriented from southeast to northwest. Although later mosques in Al-Andalus did have more eastern-facing orientations, for example the Mosque of Madinat al-Zahra in the 10th century, later expansions of the Great Mosque did not attempt to modify its original alignment. The Great Mosque of Cordoba held a place of importance amongst the Islamic community of Al-Andalus for centuries. In Cordoba, the Umayyad capital, the mosque was seen as the heart and central focus of the city. To the people of Al-Andalus, the beauty of the mosque was so dazzling that it defied any description. After all of its historical expansions, the mosque cathedral covers an area of 590 by 425 feet, 180 meters times 130 meters. 2. The building's original floor plan follows the overall form of some of the earliest mosques built from the very beginning of Islam. Some of its features had precedence in the Umayyad Mosque of Damascus, which was an important model built before it. It had a rectangular prayer hall with aisles arranged perpendicular to the Qibla, the direction towards which Muslims pray. It has thick outer walls with a somewhat fortress-like appearance. To the north is a spacious courtyard, the former San, surrounded by an arcaded gallery, with gates on the north, west, and east sides, and fountains that replace the former mosque fountains used for ablutions. A bridge or elevated passage, the Sabat, once existed on the west side of the mosque which connected the prayer hall directly with the Caliph's palace across the street. The Christian-era additions, after 1236, included many small chapels throughout the building and various relatively cosmetic changes. The most substantial and visible additions are the cruciform nave and transept of the Capilla Mayor, the main chapel where Mass is held today, which were begun in the 16th century and inserted into the middle of the former mosque's prayer hall, as well as the remodeling of the former minaret into a Renaissance-style bell tower. Please follow us in our succeeding videos as we explore the beautiful country Spain. Please don't forget to hit the like button, the notification bell for notifications. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exciting videos.